y'all? So this is Isaiah Grant back with another quick lecture, and you guys should already have up on the page a lecture that is short in nature. It's probably like 40 something minutes in total. That's going to go over some more information on the daemon. This lecture here I'm going to make as quickly as possible, but I want to make a lecture that gives some real succinct information on the daemon so that you can take the parts of what it actually is and what it means and formulate somewhat of your own opinion based on the actual parts from history, antiquity, etc., etc. Now, you can go and look at some other lectures on the subject, which I would suggest that anyone and everyone does, because this whole idea of the daemon is central to the whole idea of individuation. If you don't understand anything about analytic psychology or any of it, if you haven't studied any of the books, you don't want to go and delve off into the books, you have a magnet within you that will tune you into the daemon so that you can be rightly guided. Okay, and keep in mind, we're in the age of Aquarius. Some will say, oh, it's post age of Aquarius, right? And we're to be in this age, instead of individuals that go to a church and, you know, the church is holding the projection of the capital S self for us. We're to be carriers of that water and also dispensers of that water in the age of Aquarius, meaning there's no need to go to a church group. There's no need to go to a place to receive that. It's already inside of you. However, in order to be in tune with what that is to you, for you, you have to have some type of bearing on what that gravitational pull is towards your daemon, which is both outside of you and within you. Okay, so we're gonna go on this lecture, and I'm gonna make this as quick as possible, okay, just to give some real key concepts that will help you to understand this groundbreaking concept and reality. It's not a concept, you know, like as far as the delineations of the different parts of the psyche. This is an actual reality that can be interacted with, that creates synchronicities for you so that you know it's 100% for real. Okay, so I'm just gonna start off, okay, by just addressing some of the posts in this mind map that I will put up on the screen for you, that way you can follow along as we go along. Okay, the daemon, okay, we're gonna basically talk about first that it is that which gives you inspiration. Okay, and this inspiration is both inner and outer stimuli prompted. There's things that you go through in your life that you see outside of you that really get this whoa result, and it's not because of their novelty. A lot of times it's because of some part of you that you've forgotten all about, and that you know, it reminds you, you know, that there's a lot of remembering that comes into play, and relearning of who you were past all this societal programming, past all of that which you have been doing, going to work, being the normal person that you've been, so that you can be appeasing the different groups and people that you seem to have some type of measure of alliance with. Okay, this inner and outer stimuli prompt, okay, a lot of times it will be something that's inside. You know, you just have this drawing towards something, but it could be a concept. Maybe it doesn't really too much deal with something out here. What do I mean by that? There are some things, for instance, that I have drawings and likings towards that I can't really find per se, like a job description or something that meets every way that I am, as far as myself being a very analytical person, being a type of person that likes to be hands-on, that likes danger sometimes, you know what I mean? Security work has always been good for me in that area, because I get to go hands-on and do certain things, you know. but you know, maybe enlisting in the armed forces or whatever. I think I'm a little bit too far over the hill to go to the Marines or to go to the Army or different things. You know, there's not much that that is made for the allowance of an individual that has a heroic bend, insofar as I like to go out and slay dragons, you know, quote unquote, if you will, if that helps you to understand. Okay, so that's from the inner. I got to find a way to realize that outer, and that's what we're doing in individuation. A lot of it happens on a subjective level, but we're trying to bring that down into the world around us to make something happen based upon the changes that have come within, or the realizations that we've come to within. Okay, so the daemon inspires, okay, through inner and outer stimuli prompts. The outer stimuli prompts is you see something and you're set on fire by it. Okay, it does so through desire, okay, or desires, natural and possibly repressed inclinations. And that's why I said something about, you know, getting past the groups and, you know, sufficing the mandates of the group, what it is that they want you to do. You know what I mean? There's certain things that you've repressed and that you've kind of forgotten. And if you sit alone, and maybe even if you think several years back, you'll find that when I was younger, I used to do this. And I remember my parents beat me, or they locked me in my room because they caught me doing this or that. And this has always been a burning desire of mine that I've always put to the side and pushed away. And I haven't been able to find something that gives me that outlet. It's so far under the rug. And guess what? When you repress things, they show up in your day-to-day life as explosions of neurosis, etc., etc. Okay, so long story short, inspiration. Now, as far as the inspiration is concerned, we also receive in the form of inspiration from the daemon chastening for disobedience to the will of the daemon. It's been calling you, it's been telling you to do these things. You swept it under the rug, right? So you end up having outbreaks of neurosis, maybe a synchronistic situations that happen, situations that have blown up in your face because you knew you should have gone down this road and you didn't do it, and somehow now on the inside you're suffering, or probably blatantly too, synchronistically, something bad has happened over here because you didn't take the call. You didn't do what you knew you were supposed to do, and you might even be beating yourself up like, man, I could have done this over here, but I didn't do it because of what this group of people might have thought, or what these people over here might have thought when I went and gone and did it. Okay, so the daemon also, okay, and keep in mind, this is, I'm throwing this stuff out here because this is kind of a master key to understanding a lot of things on the daemon that you'll get from other lectures, but it's going to take you hours to listen to these lectures just to get it. And here we are, almost 9 minutes in, and we're gonna get there. Okay, the daemon influences your future self. Some would say it is your future self, but the truth is by some scholars and by some authors on the subject, it is you that you are. The daemon is the true you. Okay, some would say that it's a go-between between you and your true self. Okay, it is the true you that is manifesting in the future as you enact its will, which is truthfully your will. Okay, so it influences your future self, and as far as neurologically, it's through the dorsolateral left prefrontal cortex. Okay, if I remember correctly, Dan Huberman talked about that. I'm not going to throw people's names out there as far as like Socrates and the Stoics and all these other different things. Listen to some lectures, you'll come back to find, oh man, this dude was right about this. This dude was right about this. You know, he just gleaned a lot of it for us and threw it out there. You know, a lot of this is from what I've heard. A lot of this is more of it is from what I've experienced personally as well, though, too, that I'm telling you now. Okay, so the daemon influences your future self by the ego acting upon suggestions during peak anxiety. So when something happens, okay, that's when that dorsolateral left prefrontal cortex, if I'm not mistaken, pops on and shows you these different ways. Okay, I could do this, I could do this. A lot of times those images that you see of roles that you can pop into are based upon certain successes you've seen others have, certain mentors that you've had, you know what I mean, that have beforehand condition these images to come into your mind as roles to step into. Okay, hopefully that makes sense. Okay, so the ego acts upon these images and sorts and filters them out and sees which one is the best one. And if you think about it, the decision that you make in those peak anxiety situations could end up actually being your fate or your destiny. Think about some of the decisions that you've made in your life that have helped you for the better or the worse, you know, have gained you respect, friends, favor, or have made your name a term to be used in opprobrium in certain circles. Okay, something to think about. Okay, so the daemon, as I said earlier, is located both in the inner subjective plane and the outer subjective plane, and the outer objective plane. How is this? It's because, keep in mind, right, the ego is something small. Okay, the objective psyche, or we can say the self, is all the is the entirety of the psyche. Okay, that's too big for just the ego, the consciousness, to contain. So it shares some overlap with the outer world. The daemon shares some overlap with the outer world, and that may somewhat get into the principle of synchronicity, how it's able to allure us, as I was talking about earlier, with inner and outer stimulus prompts. Okay, and that would also speak a lot towards the psychoid aspect of archetypes. Psychoid, Psychoid. Okay, Psychoid, and you can look that up and study that in Jungian literature. Okay, the daemon has in Thelema been called, and there's this Crowley system called the Holy Guardian Angel. Okay, also too, and I'm going to throw up the Aion cluster map by Edward F. Edinger in his book, from his book, the Aion Lectures, which was written as a work on and explaining Carl Gustav Jung's Aion book proper. Okay, the inner partner, the idea of the inner partner connects to the idea of Aion, the god Aion, the lion deity, the lion-faced deity. I'll put a picture of that up as well, though, too. And you have to keep in mind that this is something that spans throughout all time. There are some authorities on the subject of the daemon that would state that your daemon, my daemon, used to be a great living person. Supposedly, if we do our best in this life, we will become daemons to guide other people. You see what I'm saying? So it would make one think that, okay, this tutelary spirit, this teaching spirit, this guiding spirit may be a spirit of someone that was really great, somebody that could be termed also as, it is a daemon, it is also a genius in the Roman idea. Could have been somebody that reached their peak, you know, and they're just here to kind of put a light, a fire under our behinds so we can do better and greater works. Okay, so the Holy Guardian Angel, you have to keep in mind, in Crowley's system, you couldn't really do much work with the within the Kabbalistic system as he had laid it out without attaining the linkage to the Holy Guardian Angel and the conversation of your Holy Guardian Angel. Okay, so the Holy Guardian Angel, the daemon, okay, is a mediator between the psyche and the self, okay, and is also characterized by liminality, as we said earlier, that it is located both in the inner subjective plane and the outer subjective plane, possibly this being the fact that it is able to induce certain synchronistic experiences, both inner and both outer. That may be one of the ways that it speaks to us on a grand level. I have experienced that. Okay, so the fact that it's characterized by liminality, okay, we need to think about the fact that daemons, okay, Eros was called a mighty daemon. Okay, Eros was both God and man. Okay, there are a lot of, and I would suggest that you look up, and I'll probably throw a picture up of a you know, a list of some of the names of deities that were half God and half man. If you compile the office of these deities, like who they were, what they were about, what you'll find is that the certain things that they did are actually the benefits and the gifts that the daemon gives us if we are to follow the daemon. Okay, and Eros was said to be a mighty daemon, half god, half man, not just Eros. Okay, and Eros is symbolic, and I'm going to talk about what these ones that I'm talking about here, these half god, half man deities, are about very shortly. That way you can see what it's symbolic of is also what the daemon will grant you as you make linking to it. And the link is, what is the daemon anyways? Again, and I didn't say this, is that it is also what Edward F. Edinger and Jung called the ego self axis, as it sits in between the ego, or the psyche, if you will, right, and the self. Okay, it's trying to link you higher to the self, and when you become linked more and more and more to the self, you cannot really contain it. You cannot really contain the self. The smaller psyche cannot swallow up the self, which is the larger. Okay, it can't. But we can assimilate piece by piece, eating on it like a pomegranate, bit by bit. And the more that we do, the more we become fortified, stronger, more powerful, more capable in the world around us. Okay, now the half god, half man aspect of the daemon and the aspect of these deities will show you some of the boons that you can gain from making that union and getting into rapport with the daemon. Okay, Eros is symbolic, who is a half god, half man, is symbolic of man's desire, or human beings. And when I say man, it's everyone's. Okay, I'm so tired of these damn gender politics where I say man and then people are like, oh well, he's only talking to men. No, I'm talking to everybody. Okay, symbolic of man's desire is Eros, libido, nature, and inspiration to all of us. Okay, is what Eros symbolizes. Hercules is another one that's symbolic of man's labors towards enlightenment and immortality, and the pushing through those natures, the fortitude that it takes to lift all of those weights that human beings face. And this is what the daemon gives you the power to do. Okay, Jesus was half man, half God in the stories. Okay, they say he's the son of God, they say he was God in the flesh. So what's that? Half man, half God, right? Was symbolic of the ego self axis, if you ask Edward F. Edinger and Carl Jung. Okay, Perseus, okay, was symbolic of heroism and resourcefulness. So by linking to the daemon and gaining rapport with the daemon, we'll be fearless. We'll be able to step to the things in our life that we must with strength and with grace, so that we can make it through. Okay, so it's symbolic of heroism and resourcefulness. Okay, Achilles is another one, symbolic of martial prowess, so the warrior aspect. Okay, and the human and he also teaches the human lesson of strength amidst vulnerability. Okay, because he died by getting struck in the heel. That's where we get the Achilles heel idea from. Okay, Theseus, who fought the Minotaur, right, was symbolic of cunning and bravery. Aeneas, okay, who I believe was one of the founders of Rome or something like that, right, was symbolic of a fresh start and also continuity of lineage. So we have the idea of long life and of being able to start over from a ruinous situation, maybe, or from a situation that was less than ideal. And this is what the daemon gives you. You know what I mean? You fall, you should have been ruined, and then all of a sudden a door is open, which is synchronistic, which is why once again we can see that the daemon is characterized by liminality, and it has a place both inner subjectively and outer objectively. Okay, so Also, too, Maui, the Polynesian demigod, who is symbolic of the trickster aspect, okay? And also cunning, creativity, and world-shaping power. It will give you the power to shape your world. And your world could be the world over. It can also be the scope of the reach that you have within your world in the realm of power. Meaning you might, like me, I only have 1K followers or whatever, right? Okay, that's my reach in the world, and not all of them interact. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, it's probably shorter than that. You see what I'm saying? I might have a few friends or a few people that I know I influence in the world around me here. You see what I'm saying? And at the end of the day, that's my reach of power. Okay, but you can see that with what it is that you have as your reach, and what it is that you're on fire to create and do, that the daemon is able to work through you through that. Okay, so these were ideas of half God, half man. You could look through, I almost believe it's like a canon to what the daemon has to offer you if you are to make a rapport with the daemon, okay? A conscious rapport. If you look at half man, half God deities, which are called demigods, right? You'll be able to get a canonical look at what the daemon's gifts are for you, what it has to give you. Keep in mind, when we talk about Jesus, there's sacrifice, there's suffering, there's sorrow. There's many people that have sacrificed, that have suffered, that have lost their life in order to follow that divine guidance. Okay, so half God, half man, the demigod idea, and the idea of the daemon speaks towards bridging the gap of both human and divine realms. Okay, and we've gone over every aspect of this map, and that this was like something that you probably could have listened to for maybe 2 hours, 3 hours, maybe 4 hours worth of lectures, probably more than that, in just at this point we're at 22 minutes. Okay, so I'm gonna read these final things, okay, because these are some real other big keys. Okay, in Homer's Iliad, speaking of the death of a warrior, Hera says to Zeus, when his Psyche and Aion have left him, then send death to bear him away. So Psyche plus Aion, meaning the daemon and an inner partner as a guide towards destiny, are key ingredients of life. Without those, you're basically dead, because there's a zeal for life. There's a reason to keep on going. When you have no Psyche, when you have no Aion, okay, Aion being the inner partner, this connects to that Aion cluster, which the word inner partner connects to on this map. Okay, without those, you're done. There's no reason to go on. There's the jig is up. Okay, so as long as you still have a fire burning in you to go forward, and you'll reach times in your life where you feel like you don't have that anymore, and guess what? Suddenly, miraculously, some way, somehow, a door opens and you got it back. I've been through that so many different times, through the Negredo phase, back all the way to the Albedo phase, all the way to the Rubedo, and I'm touching everything and it's turning into, what it's supposed to. I'm reproducing myself. Okay, in line with what my daemon is for me, and what it is to me. And you need to know what that is, and you can find that out by looking at the continual reoccurrences. I'm going to read something about that will show you when I speak about dreams. Okay, the continual reoccurrences, this is how complexes speak. And you got to think about, complexes have archetypal core. Archetypes are basically a bit below the self, okay, and you're getting a message from the self through interaction with the archetype, okay, the archetypal field. Complexes in Soul of Dreams. So what ends up happening is your daemon uses dreams and these archetypal messages, and also the recurring archetypal messages, to speak to you about who you are and your desire. And it's very important, okay? So talking about this directly, okay? The inner magnet, which we all call the keenest, the inner magnet, which we all can pay the keenest of attention to, will through desire, it's a very key word, desire, reveal to us the path of the daemon, okay? And there's a measure that we can look at that will allow you to measure out where that pull is coming from, and you're going to have to look at it happen again and again and again for you to say, this is what I need to be doing, this is what I'm about, because this sets me on fire every time. It has to happen many times to you because our consciousness is so weak to just catch it the first time. Sometimes we're blessed enough to be able to catch it the first time, okay? So this measurement goes like this: attention, this is at the lowest, and then the last word is going to be the highest. Attention, interest, desire, attachment, enthusiasm, compulsion, worship being the highest. The latter four, which are attachment, enthusiasm, compulsion, and worship, being the hallway of entrance into a participant's communion. So you're participating in the communion, right? The eating and the becoming one with the daemon. All right. We must also pay attention to imagery in our dreams that allures us deeply. For as we go through experiences that shape our complexes, and as our complexes are the architects of our dreamscapes, each complex having an archetypal root, our daemon will mediate the archetypal message from the self to our psyche through emotionally charged imagery, so as to reach us in our ignorance of its will, which is our will ultimately, okay? That was a lot. I know that was a lot. Run it back because it's very, very important. Because I talked about how to enter into a participant's communion by measuring your situations around you, by measuring things so you can get into participation. But as you do your dream work and as you look at what your complexes are showing you, I've had this dream again and again and again. I've seen this time and time again, right? As you look at how that's going down for you, okay, you're going to come into seeing, man, you know, I see this in my dreams all the time and I'm dealing with this, and, you know, it's something about this imagery that I'm very, very drawn to, but in the real world, like, I shy away from this. You're being called there. You're being called there, okay? So another key piece here, okay? The daemon, if adhered to properly, assists one in becoming a demigod and guide to humans possibly in the next life, in the life to come. This is what it was written by philosophers long ago, okay? And it makes a lot of sense if our daemon now is somebody that was deified and that was human before in their life. And this idea could kind of throw some people off, because it could be like, well, you know, how do we even know that? It's not even scientific. Well, if we can't get on board with that, know at least that what is pulling on the inside of you, that it's of the utmost importance to your individuation. And if you follow that, you can open up some real deep vistas in your life and actually come to a point where you become. Life's not going to happen to you anymore. You're going to start happening to life, because it's going to come with ease, because you're doing what it is that you know you got to do. Okay? So, other than this, I have nothing more here. I'm going to, throughout this lecture, make sure that you guys understand by, you know, and I apologize if this map came up too many times. But this is something so very important. I've made other lectures on the daemon. And one even recently here that maybe people were like, man, this dude's harping on the daemon too much. He's harping on it, playing this one string. It's the one most important string. This is the backbone of Jungian psychology in such a large way. Okay, it's a backbone of this form of psychology, and if you can't assimilate this and understand it and try to walk it and try to actualize and try to figure this out for yourself, you're going to be missing out on a big part of your existence. And being Philemon, for instance, right, the guide of Carl Jung in the Red Book, that was his daemon. Okay, and we see how many people have been touched by Jung's works through the Red Book, for instance, and through everything else that he was set on fire to put together by that personification that was fueling him on the inside, which was Philemon. Okay, each of us has one. I have one by name that I know. It actually goes by very few names, few different names. Okay, and I've seen it, and it's come to me in invisible form in many different times of my life, you know. And I've been comforted by that presence, sometimes even afraid by that presence, because there's a terrible aspect of the way that it shows itself to you. However, there was comfort that came and assurance that came afterwards. So I know that this is real, and I know that it's pressing on me to talk to you guys about this. But I'm gonna close this lecture out because I didn't want to make it that much of a long one. We're only sitting here at 31 minutes. So if you like this, like it. If you want to share it to somebody that could be benefited by it, please share it. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe and click the bell. That way you could be notified for extra videos like this. If you'd like to donate, I'm going to ask this time. I'll keep my askings down to a minimum. However, this takes time out of my day, time out of my life in order to enrich yours. If you have been enriched, if you could send me a coffee donation, if you could send me some gas money, if you could send me something that will help me get down the street, or not, that's just fine as well though too. Okay, I just want to leave this with you guys. This is probably one of the biggest and best ideas that you'll find will span many of my lectures, and many ideas in other lectures that people will put out here on YouTube, of the nature of individuation, that this type of information will open up all and really tear the veils off of a lot of the other information, because you'll see this is what they're talking about, is getting closer to my guide, my own personal guide, because we're supposed to be bearers of that spiritual water in this time of Aquarius now. Okay, not being guided by some guru, not going to some church and throwing money in an offering plate somewhere, but we're supposed to be guided by that which is both within us and by efficacy shows us that it is without us. Okay, so other than that, this is the end of the lecture. Thank you guys for listening. Until next time, get closer to that daemon and reach ever closer towards your individuation, my friends.